As I begin today, I'm starting one of a 4-part series. So for the month of February, I decided to preach on love. And so for each of these Sundays, it will be a part of the previous week. And all these you can find on YouTube, because we keep all the homilies there in case you miss a week or you go somewhere else to Mass. And when we talk about love, February 14th is Valentine's Day, or February 14th is Singles Awareness Day, or February 14th is the feast day of Cyril Methodius. Whatever the reason, love goes much deeper than love. That love. So I want to talk about that. This agape, this love for someone even when they are undesirable. That particular week, February 14th, here on campus they're having Positive Sex Week, or Sex Positive Week. I forget the order of the words. And it's really kind of ironic when you think about it, because so often positive is not associated with positive feelings in regard to sex. Because if something is positive, it means maybe my pregnancy test was positive and I didn't want that. Or maybe I showed up positive for HIV or some disease and I didn't want that. But it was never meant to be a negative thing. It's always supposed to be a positive and a sacred thing. And so we would say, if it is not sacred, then it is profane. And I want to unpack those words a little bit. In antiquity, the sacred was in the inner sanctum of the temple. You've heard people say, my inner sanctum. The inner sanctum of the temple is where God resided. It's where the Holy of Holies was. It's where all the worship took place and everything else. Outside of that sanctum was called the profanum. Profanum literally means before the temple. So it was outside of God. It was outside of the Holy of Holies. It doesn't mean that it was bad necessarily. Now we say profane now, like profanity, it means bad. It doesn't mean that it was bad. It just means that it's ungodly. It's more worldly. So when we talk about the sacred, we're talking about something that happens within the grace and the power of God. I mean, think about this a minute. That our Lord has allowed us the possibility to share in His creative act. To bring forth a life that never was before and never will be again. That's not something we should be preventing. That's not something we should be terminating. It's something we should be celebrating. And so yes, positive, absolutely. Unfortunately, I believe the thrust of this week, as it was in previous weeks, and as it is in universities all over the country, will be about consent, which is important, and I hope we all agree on that. I mean, that's a no-brainer, consent. But also about safe sex and what that looks like. And so, what I would like to do is not deal so much with the symptoms, because we're very good at reacting to things and putting things in place in order to deal with the symptoms while doing nothing about the disease necessarily. I applied actually to give a talk that week, and my talk is entitled Pursuing Romantic Love in the Midst of a Pornified Society, from a Christian perspective. Now, I got the email last night that was rejected. So they want a little more information. It seems they're afraid it might be judgmental, which is kind of ironic because they just judged me by saying that. So I'm adding more information, I'm getting it out there. But the whole point is, I want to make sure we understand where is the problem. How many people just want pain medication to help them deal with the pain that comes with cancer, as opposed to curing the cancer? So we're very good at reacting. The person falls from the roller coaster and we say, we're going to put policies in place and we're going to build better roller coasters so this never happens again. Well, it's too late. Why did we do that in the first place? So we react and we create something that really could have been proactive and perhaps prevented. And so we have a society now where they'll say, well, you might get pregnant, and if you do, we have abortion as the antidote for that. Or you don't want to catch an STD, so we have a pill you can take to prevent that, or use condoms or whatever else. That's the antidote to that. Or, any number of other venues that we have. We can take contraception and everything else. That's not dealing with the problem. It's dealing with the symptoms of that. And the problem is that we are now enmeshed in a pornified society. And I'm not talking about just images or internet addiction or whatever else. It's the way we look at people as objects instead of subjects. It's a whole perception, a whole way that we look at people. And that needs to change. And if we can change that, then we don't need all these other things. They'll come up, the latest buzzword is toxic masculinity. And many companies are coming forward and saying, we are in this fight against toxic masculinity, when for the last 50 years they've been cultivating it, and feeding it, and nurturing it. It's almost like a tobacco company that says, yes, we're spending all this money to show you that this kills you, but we're still selling it. Or they found a positive correlation between THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, and testicular cancer in men. And we're trying to legalize recreational use all over the country. This is a positive correlation. We know this happens. And so sometimes we can put ourselves into this self-inflicted oblivion. We're oblivious. I didn't know. I mean, who could have known that vaping would ever become addictive? Well, I mean, come on. So we can do this. Just to show you how outlandish this is when we do this. There's a story that comes from an African village. And in this African village, one day, a dead body floated down the river. And they pulled the body out, they cleaned it, they dressed it in burial cloths, they did a religious ceremony, and they buried the remains. The next week, another body came down the river. And they did the same. They removed it, they cleaned it, they dressed it, they went through the ceremony, and they buried it. This continued to happen every single week. So after a while, they put together a system. Okay, we have division of labor. You're the remover, you're the dresser, you're the blesser, you're the burier. They even got a crane at one point. It's a lot easier to pull them out of the water with this crane. And they set up a building so they could organize all these different parts to that. And they even got a backhoe to dig the holes. They had such an awesome system working in that town. And then one day, a chieftain comes to the village. And he's so impressed by all this infrastructure built around removing bodies from the river. And he said to the one in charge, has anyone ever ventured up the river to find out where the bodies are coming from? And they looked like he was from another planet. Like, why would anyone do that? So this great chieftain walked up the river to see where the dead bodies were coming from. And shortly thereafter, the bodies stopped coming down the river. And the people of that village were enraged because they put all this stuff into place and now they couldn't even use it. And they went in pursuit of that chieftain to end his life so once again they would be able to fulfill this purpose. And we think that is the stupidest story I've ever heard. It doesn't make sense. But we're living that story. Nobody wants to go upriver and take care of the bodies that are floating down before they die. We'd rather just deal with it on a case-by-case basis. We'd rather respond. And it is a multi-billion-dollar industry. When you talk about pornography addiction, nobody wants to talk about it because it is a billion-dollar industry. But when we come to understand that because we look at people as objects, that's where trafficking comes from. That's where infidelity comes from. That's where all these aberrations, everything from abuse to molestation to rape to sexual assault, it all comes from that because you cannot abuse a person, a subject. You must first make them an object, and then they are there for you. John Paul II says that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is use. You might be saying, well, why are you talking to me about pornography? I don't have a problem with pornography. But perhaps you've used people or allowed yourself to be used. Perhaps you know someone who struggles with these things, and they're not here. Next week I'm going to talk a little bit more about who we are and how we get beyond these, kind of walls to love, to true love. But this is where it's at. You've heard of Victoria's Secret, been around for years. Do you want to know what Victoria's Secret is? And I don't mean with the store, I mean what her secret is. The secret is that company was founded by a man. And it was founded by a man for men, so that they could shop for things for their wife or girlfriend to wear that would make them more desirable. And how many people still shop there? That's the whole point. I mean, they've been in business for years. I'm on my way home for Christmas Eve, and going down 15 south, we pass all these adult stores on both sides of the road. And this one store on the left had a little sign out front. It said, "Gone for Christmas vacation. Enjoy your family." Seriously? If you're concerned about celebrating Christ's birth and about the unity and importance of the family, you would stay closed forever. Because this stuff breaks up families. Studies have been done that show that when infidelity occurs in a couple, it usually began with pornography. I mean, think about it. When you look at that, you're cheating on your wife or husband all the time. Because you're looking with eyes that were meant for them. Have you ever wondered why, in antiquity, Abraham's covenant with God was circumcision? Wouldn't it make more sense to make it like a scar on his head or his arm, something that people could see? But no, it's circumcision. Why is that? Because there are only two people who would see the mark of that covenant: God and his wife. Because he would not share that intimacy with anybody else. That's beautiful. That between a couple, that covenant would be shared between the wife and husband and God, who's a part of that. That's beautiful. When we talk about the knowledge of God, this da'at Elohim that the prophets talk about, that knowledge, da'at, was like an intimate knowledge. It's where Mary says to the angel, "How can this be since I know not man?" It's an intimacy that is so close that like the two become one. And God says to us today, you heard it, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." I knew you. We were one. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. You were never an object to me, always a subject. And I wish that anyone who sees you should treat you equally as that subject, made in my image and likeness. So if you hear nothing else I've said today at all, please hear this. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. That God loves you. God loves you. Even if you hate him, he loves you. You cannot prevent that. Even if you don't believe in him, he loves you. You cannot prevent that. Even if you say, "No, my past is too littered with all kinds of awful things," he loves you. "No, my present, I don't know if I believe or I can get out of this cycle," he loves you. "I don't even know about my future. I don't know if I can ever come back." He loves you. God loves you. And until we realize how much he loves us, it's going to be hard for us to love ourselves. And if we cannot love ourselves, we cannot love anyone else. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, "What do you know about any of this? You're a priest." But I was engaged once, too. That's a story for another time. The point is, I know. And I know the struggles that come with it. But it's hard to talk about this and not be hopeless in a world that is just overwhelming with all this use. But it can be different. Today I preached this homily a little differently over at Sacred Heart. And as we're leaving Mass and I'm greeting people, this old-timer comes up. I hope none of you are old-timers. This old-timer comes up to me and he says, "I wish I had heard that 50 years ago. My whole life could have been different." This is your 50 years ago. You don't have to believe it. Just try it. To try to detox from all those things that are drawing us in toward this usury. To get away from this pornified attitude where that person was created for me to use, as opposed to embrace embracing another in the dialogue we talked about last week, the I and thou. If we can do that, then we are well on our way to forming healthy relationships in the future, relationships that last, relationships that love, even when the one we love is sometimes undesirable. We will no longer be trying to find the antidote to the symptoms, but we will begin to cure the disease. We won't worry about rescuing the dead bodies from the river, because we will catch them before they die. That we will show them the love that God shows to us. What is it that they say? They will know we are Christians by our love. And that is not romantic love, that is not friendship love. That is agape.